Hello. So today, luckily for you, we had collaboration. Yes, collaboration. It's my friend Bryan and I got together for a couple hours. We talked about what it is we talk about. I came to conclude something after a couple hours. And that is that this is a balance between Taoism and Buddhism. So my own ignorance regarding Taoism was that I was balancing all things and being balanced by all things, and balancing being balanced by all things, and balancing all things. But there's something I neglected. Dukkha. So the Christ and the Buddha, they came to the same conclusion. They said that life is dukkha. They said that we choose to be alive for a purpose. That purpose begs the conclusion of incompleteness or lack of holiness. And thus we suffer, right? As we try to fulfill our life's purpose and create in a world that may or may not welcome our creations. So this notion of original sin. And so as a Taoist, I was doing a lot of suffering. Because I hadn't taken this point into consideration. I was balancing all things, but perhaps, balancing all things results in a predominance of suffering, right? A predominance of suffering until you take this original sin into consideration. And so, to apply maths to this phenomena, instead of having happiness and suffering in balance, 50-50, right? We just take that, push it over, to happiness. 51% happiness and 49% creativity. And so how that plays out on a moment-to-moment basis, right? How this attachment to happiness plays out on a moment-to-moment basis is, at first, due to that extra percent, that single extra percent, first, in relating to others, you die to them. And then you're resurrected as yourself. So it's like an inhale, like try to see them. And then it's an exhale. It's like, and I am. And it's because it's what Bryan had illustrated for me, well, just revealed to me, was that there is this notion in Buddhism of wholesome actions and unwholesome actions. Wholesome actions creating happiness for other people, and unwholesome actions creating suffering. And since there is no conception or distinction in Buddhism between self and other per se, there is just happiness and suffering. So if I act a particular way, suffering happens. If I act a particular way, happiness happens. And then when he further illustrated and said that happiness happens when you surrender to caring for another being. And suffering happens when you take care of yourself, when you look out for yourself. And again, no distinction between my happiness and others' happiness, or my suffering and others' suffering. Thus the need for this balancing act, right? And I'm still unclear about this, so I could be wrong, but in Buddhism they speak of one fortunate attachment, I formerly thought this was non-attachment. But it may well be that this one fortunate attachment is happiness for all beings. You know. And it's almost like a contextual truth. You know, it's like if original sin, then preference for happiness, then balance. So again, first you breathe in the other, and then and only then do you create a relationship with the other. And the reality that you create can be free of attachment, or it can have attachments. And that's going to affect the style with which you present yourself. And as an Indian sage said last night, died 4 years ago yesterday, it's Yogi Bhajan, Sikh. It's like, see, I'm not part of that tradition, so I can't speak the words of Nanak because I haven't taken the time to memorize them. I have been initiated, but not by him. And that's another beautiful thing that we can talk about tomorrow, maybe. Being the voice of another man, the first enlightened person in your tradition, or to be the second enlightened person in your tradition. Or not to have a tradition at all, and then have to humble yourself before every human being, because their truth is equal to your truth. You're not a guru, you're just some dude. And even Buddha says, I'm just some dude. And Christ says, I'm just some dude. That's confounding, isn't it? Anyways, it's a collaboration. I couldn't have come up with such an ingenious idea by myself. And if I didn't die, my friend, then I would never have recognized him as the guru, the advisor. And I never would have been resurrected as, well, the out-breath. And if you want to connect this practice to the breath, me, who I am, what I create, we never would have had a relationship. See, we saw one another as gurus, and we saw one another as accoutrement to our creations. Good luck, and I love you from time to time. Bye for now.